are listening to the Life Purpose Advisor podcast, episode 24.
I had the blessed experience of getting hit by a fire truck when I was 22 years old, and I broke 27 bones in my arms, legs, and face. That was a pinnacle point in my life to allow me to have the opportunity to step back and the time to focus on what am I really here to do. And I really sum that up in one word. It's community.
You're listening to the Life Purpose Advisor podcast.
Life purpose, spirituality, higher calling, personal growth, meaningful life.
We ask the deep questions about living a balanced life of meaning, purpose, and joy.
Passion, know thyself, be mindful, spiritual practice, aha moments, life lessons, balance.
It is time to welcome your host, Angie Swartz.
Today I'm very excited to welcome Felena Hanson to the Life Purpose Advisor podcast. Felena Hanson is a marketing maven and a caring connector. Her latest venture, Hera Hub, is a spa-inspired shared workspace for female entrepreneurs who need a productive, professional place to work on a flexible basis. She has 3 locations in San Diego County and is expanding nationally via a franchise model. Felena, welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me, Angie.
My pleasure. My pleasure. I know that this little bio that I just read about you says about a very small percentage of the things that you've done in your career. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and your business?
Of course, yeah. So my background has been in marketing pretty much my entire career. I started off my career in technology startups and spent my 20s working for several companies, 2 of which actually sold to larger companies, had sort of a successful exit, and 1 company that ran out of money. So I found myself by age 30 laid off 3 times and realizing that there was probably a better career path for me than getting bounced around in the startup world. So I launched my own business at age 30 doing what I knew well, which was marketing and mostly marketing strategy. And a big portion of my career in my 20s was focused on collaboration, bringing companies together, helping companies connect, utilizing their communities, so to speak, sharing customers, that type of thing. And so I ended up doing that and building a business over 8 years called Perspective Marketing, where I worked for small to mid-sized companies around marketing strategy, helping them with their customers and their market positioning. All of that really led me to launch my current business, Hera Hub, because I worked at home for 8 years, and working at home is great. It's obviously convenient and cost-effective, but after 8 years, I found it to be sometimes isolating and hard to focus. And so I started to research shared workspaces because it was a new trend at the time, and the only thing I could really find was kind of geared towards a different audience. It wasn't really geared towards me. It was geared a lot younger and a lot more technology focused. And although I had a background in technology, I don't call myself a technologist. So very long story short, I went and built one myself and have been doing it for the last 3.5 years.
And quite a story. And Hera Hub has gotten quite a lot of notoriety because of what it looks like and the environment that you've put together. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I am a big believer in environment, and your environment sets the mood, it sets the tone, it can really create an opportunity for a person to operate differently. Some would say at a different vibration, if you will, based on the 5 senses. And so even when I had my home office, I always had candles on and nice soft music going and good lighting, and it was very important to have an environment that was conducive for productive work but also was inspiring to me. I don't like a lot of clutter. My environment is very, very important to me. And so I brought that into our temporary Hera Hub location, where we had fountains and candles and soft music playing, and it ended up being called what we've now coined spa-inspired shared workspace. And it very much, when you walk into the space, you can tell that there's been a lot of thought that's been put into it, the colors and the features and the five senses and the feng shui. And it's, every time somebody walks into the office, they take a deep breath and they say, wow, it just feels good in here. And that's an important element to have in a space that you're spending time in. So, right. It's been very, very successful. Spa-inspired co-working is what we call it.
And you have positive quotes and famous artists that are displaying their work in your locations. If anyone listening is in the San Diego area, please stop by a Hera Hub and take a tour. It's a really amazing workspace. And you have, I would imagine, still you have all kinds of price points and different arrangements that meet just about everybody's needs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, all the way from folks that just want to attend some of our events at $69 a month to somebody who wants full-time access to the space and a bank of meeting room, office, conference hours, that type of thing every month to utilize for $369 a month.
Mm-hmm. So a beginning price of $69 to have use of the facility. What a bargain, or a value, I guess I should say.
Yeah, that allows them to attend some of our events at that level. Yeah.
Right. Great. Well, thanks for telling us about that. I would like to dive a little deeper into you and to your life. Is that okay with you?
Sure.
Do you think that you have a life purpose, and do you know what it is?
Yes, I do. So I had the blessed experience of getting hit by a fire truck when I was 22 years old. And I broke 27 bones in my arms, legs, and face. I shouldn't be alive right now. Yep. And that was a pinnacle point in my life to allow me to have the opportunity to step back and the time to focus on what am I really, really here to do. And I really sum that up in one word. It's community. It's everything that I've done since that point has been about building community, about helping others find community, about bringing people together in community. And I think it's something that in the day and age where we're all connected, but no one feels truly connected, it is an important piece of what I bring, in that I bring people physically together into community. And so that's at the base of absolutely everything that I do, and very much really the pillar of what Hera Hub is.
Mm-hmm. And very needed, as you said, very needed today. Well, getting hit by a fire truck is quite an aha moment. Did you have any others, maybe not that extreme, that pointed you to this direction?
Yeah, many. I mean, people along the way that I've met, truly... There's been all kinds of things along the way. I mean, getting laid off 3 times by the age of 30 and feeling in isolation because of that was certainly part of what I bring to my experience now. Going through a very bad divorce, and the man that I married who stayed with me through that car accident ended up fancying someone else when I was about that same age, 30, and again, feeling like I had to kind of reinvent myself. There's been a lot of points in my life, and a lot of points that many women go through this opportunity to reinvent themselves. They get knocked down in some way, shape, or form, or what seems to be reality is not reality for them anymore. And it's an opportunity to learn. And through all of those junctures, I've looked to bring people together to create community. Even prior to launching Hera Hub, and one of the main kind of junctures of why I started looking for spaces, I was leading several communities of women, one called Women's Global Network and another called Ladies Who Launch, and building community, bringing people together and helping with microcredit loans for women in developing nations, or helping women flesh out ideas to launch a business. And it was all about bringing people together. So all of those things continued to kind of point me in the right direction, and that's why I feel so passionate and purposeful in my current business, because I feel like literally every road has led to this one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you for being so transparent about divorce and the things that came up in your life. I think many people think that from an outside view that others have perfect lives until something like that happens to them, and then you start to hear other stories. But those are things that people just don't talk about all that often.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a problem. All part of the story, so happy to share it.
Right, right. Can you tell me about your spiritual beliefs?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So I like to say I believe in God, but not religion. I grew up in a very, very strict household. But one side of my family was Nazarene, one side was Baptist, and very, very devoted family. And my frustration factor with religion has been around hypocrisy, I would say, about not doing what we say we're going to do, about talking behind each other's backs. And it frustrated me from a very early age. So I would say I believe in God. I'm a spiritual person, but I believe we're all saying the same thing. I believe we're all looking in the same direction, and it makes me very sad that wars are waged in the name of religion, because that's not the intention behind it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Do you think that the God that you're referring to is a benevolent being? Do you believe in heaven and hell?
I don't know, honestly. I believe in a lot of different things, and I believe that whether you call it God or you call it something else, I think we're all probably saying the same thing.
I see. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to talk to you about tools that you've used over the years to help you know yourself better. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, of course, we take all kinds of tests or assessments, as you would call them. Somehow, I think some of the things I went through at a pretty young age, both my parents are entrepreneurs, and I grew up what I call in a very rebellious sort of lifestyle. Not rebellious in that what most people would think, like running away from home, but both my parents are very sort of unconventional. And I had a lot of pretty unique experiences growing up. My dad's still owns his business. My mom has been in what I call an artistpreneur all her life and has managed zoos and done all kinds of really crazy, amazing things. And so from an early age, I think that gave me a lot of perspective on who I was and how I operated. I grew up as an only child for the first 9 years of my life and had an opportunity to really kind of be with myself a lot, so to speak. And then my parents divorced and got remarried, and then I ended up with 8 brothers and sisters through adoption and step and half, and that gave me a whole new perspective on how to operate and who I was. So somehow pretty early on, I had a pretty good sense of who I was. Since then, I've taken, StrengthsFinder and, some of those types of things. And usually I get confirmations of, things that I kind of already know, so to speak. So honestly, I've never put a lot of merit into those things. I just operate based on what I know, and if I feel like I enjoy something and I'm good at it, then I do it, and if I don't, then I try to find somebody else to do it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Very strong personal compass that many people likely wish that they had. If there's someone out there listening that is not in that position, what's the first thing that comes to your mind? What would you tell them to do if they were trying to understand themselves better?
I don't know. That's a tough question, Angie. Everybody is so different in how they come to that, and I'm not an expert in that field, so I would just tell them to listen. I mean, I think that's part of the challenge we have. There's so much noise out there, chatter, so to speak, whether that's real or imagined, and I'm not a big meditator. I wish I could be. I wish I was more, took more time to do that, but however you can, just being comfortable with who you are and listening to yourself.
Mm-hmm. I think that's great advice. You might say that you're not an expert, but I'm not so sure that's true, because that's pretty sage advice.
Well, I know what works for me.
Right. So you mentioned that you don't meditate. Do you have any daily practices?
I run. I've got 2 pups that are very active, and so I run on a daily basis, and I would call that my meditation, so to speak, because it definitely is a time when you're alone. There's no cell phone ringing, and you can just kind of think and contemplate and relax.
Nice. Where do you like to run?
Well, just in my neighborhood. I just walk out the front door with my pups, and away we go, and they take me along for the ride.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah.
I'm sure they do. What role do you think our physical bodies play in relationship to our life purposes?
That's hard to say. I think it's important to keep, as active as you can and healthy as you can. I mean, if you're not, then, that can affect other things. So, but health looks different for everybody. I don't do 6 hours of yoga every day like some people do, or something that's, I eat as well as I can. I'm a Libra, so I'm all about balance. So to me, it's important to do both, to enjoy life, but also to do as well as you can, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. What do you think about synchronicity? Do you think synchronicity plays a role in our lives?
Oh, absolutely. 100%. All the time. It's undeniable. When you hear people say, I say it all the time, oh, that's why that happened. Okay, now I get it.
Right.
It's a big part of it for sure.
And do you have any examples of major synchronistic events that have happened with you along the way of forming this latest venture?
I mean, I have thousands every single day. I don't even know where to begin.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, it's all the time. The stars are aligning, and it's just, and I know that I'm on the right path when those things line up too. I mean, you hit a wall for 10 times in one direction, and you've got to say, okay, well, maybe I'm not meant to go in that door. Maybe I'm meant to go in another door. I usually let things happen, 3-4 times before I make that decision. But, and I have had things, where I thought, okay, this is not synergistic. This is not meant to be. Even with my first space and finding a location for Hera Hub, I had 2 failed lease negotiations, spent 9 months in the process, and thought, okay, maybe I'm not meant to do this. And then, out of nowhere, I have a woman that says, I have this extra space, it'd just be temporary, but do you want to give it a try? And I did, and it, at least got me set on the right path. And so, I would call that synchronicity to some extent. That was, okay, maybe this is a sign I am stepping into the right thing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It sounded like you started doubting your mission, and then, something bigger stepped in to say, here you go, you are going in the right way.
Exactly.
So may I ask you about money?
Sure.
Do you make more or less money now that you're aligned with your purpose? Does it matter? Have your values changed? Are they the same?
Yeah, it's hard to say. When you're building a business, you don't really count paychecks like you used to, because you're oftentimes reinvesting in your own business and the growth of that business. And so we've had significant growth over the last 3 years, opening 3 locations and franchising now nationally on the East Coast. So I don't have a direct answer to that question. I just know that it feels right. How's that?
So I would say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It seems like you have everything you need.
Well, yeah, I don't exactly. I mean, I don't know. Money is obviously important, but I don't put a lot of focus on that, to be honest.
Have you ever encountered resistance from friends or family about what you're doing?
Oh, yeah, all the time.
Even what?
Just people telling you, are you really? You're going to do that? Okay.
Even now that you have proof of concept, people are still there?
Oh, yeah. Oh, for sure. Absolutely. Or telling me my plans are aggressive or audacious or, I mean.
And maybe they are, maybe they aren't. Only you can say the truth to them.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't imagine somebody saying, okay, here's my vision, and me saying, wow, that's aggressive. Not part of the way I operate, but anyways.
And then you say, excuse me, can you please get out of my way?
Exactly.
Because I have things to do.
Exactly. Yeah.
Can I ask you a lightning round of yes or no short answer questions?
Sure.
Do you think passion and purpose are the same things?
No.
Do you think everyone has a life purpose?
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how important is following your joy and igniting your purpose?
10.
Did you ever quit your job to follow your purpose? We know that you did. Do you think somebody needs to quit? I guess you didn't quit. You were laid off. My apologies.
Yeah.
Do you think somebody should quit?
Absolutely.
And what brings you great, great joy?
My community. Just seeing people on a daily basis making amazing connections and helping one another.
Mm-hmm. Anything else in your personal life that brings you great joy?
I have an amazing man in my life who is so supportive and just makes me laugh every day, and 2 awesome puppy dogs that keep me running every day.
Nice, nice. If you unexpectedly amassed a good-sized fortune, what would you do differently?
I would build Hera Hubs faster.
Hera Hubs in every port.
Exactly.
Watch out, folks. Here they come, next to your city.
Yes.
You mentioned the East Coast. Are there Hera Hubs on the East Coast now?
Yeah, Washington, D.C. is our first franchise location. She's building out the space right now and should be open in the next couple months.
Great. Well, at the end, maybe you can tell listeners how to get in touch with that location if they'd like to join Hera Hub there. What should our listeners learn from your life?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I look at it as, obviously we all face challenges. We face roadblocks in life, and that sometimes is physical, sometimes it's mental. It's going to show up differently for different people, but that honestly doesn't matter. What matters is what you do with that information, how you react to that. Stephen Covey always says he refers to the gap as his phraseology for it, and things happen to you and you react to them, and it's that gap in which you are defined as a purpose and how you react to those things that come in your path. So I very much am focused on what that gap looks like and how important it is to have the right attitude, and it will make the world of difference in how you live your life.
Beautiful. What's the best way for people to connect with you?
Yeah, that's probably through our website, just HERAHUB.com. That's Hera Hub. Hera, I'll mention, is the Greek goddess of women and appropriately named for our female-focused community. And folks can get in touch with me through the website. I'm all over Twitter, pretty active. Just my first and last name is my handle, and I promise to respond there as well.
All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to say that we didn't cover today?
No, this has been a lot of fun.
Good, great. Well, thank you for joining me, and I look forward to watching your Hera Hub empire continue to grow.
Thanks so much, Angie.
Thank you very much.